Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. What a grueling game one here coming in from ANEW Esports, showing a very not only dominating performance but also just a better understanding of their composition versus 100 Thieves next. But before we get further into how this game kind of broke down and boiled down to, Spax, you got to talk me through some of the drafts coming in from 100 Thieves first.
Yeah, so looking at 100 Thieves side of the draft here in this game, it is very clear to see that their main damage this game is going to come from the Caitlyn of Yon. And even though they did put a lot of pressure in that bot lane, you still have a really tall order as Yon to deal all of the damage for you in this game. Top lane Ornn, the jungle is on the Lee Sin, and if Lee Sin doesn't get incredibly fed, he's not going to be dealing as much damage as one of the other NXI picks like the Nidalee and the Graves. They sent the Karma mid. They put Bard in the bot lane. So really, they really did put Yon in an Uzi situation on a champion that I certainly would not consider to be a late game hyper carry kind of champion. Kind of have that dip in the mid game, even with the recent Caitlyn buffs. Very, very difficult situation that they put Yon in. And while he did get ahead early, I definitely favor a news draft here in this game.
Right. And the one thing that I did like about ANEW is that one of the things that we've noticed, like studying these two guys go up against each other, is the fact that it feels like 100 Thieves Next have better map states for the most part. And by taking the GP into the Ornn matchup, that actually pretty much guarantees you that you're always going to have that top line priority, right? I know that Rodolph, he did go down level 6 at, the pretty obvious Ornn all-in timing. But besides that, I mean, he was forcing down that side lane all game. He had priority the entire game, and seemed like a much more consistent look that we're used to out of ANEW, and something a little bit different, right? Because we've realized that, they usually play through Shoryu and Winter, but these games they've actually been playing through Rodolph, and he ended up looking really good in a really good matchup this series.
And for me, this was once again the story of 100 Thieves Next, taking a composition that is pretty difficult to execute and then failing to execute upon it. Like, little mistakes go a long way when you play something where you literally have one massive win condition, right? If the Caitlyn doesn't get ahead, things get very, very difficult. And if for any reason you get distracted by other shiny things in the enemy team's jungle instead of playing for those plates for Caitlyn on bot side early, that's going to have severe ramifications later on. And with the opening parts of the draft, with Karma being locked in and Caitlyn being locked in and Ornn being locked in, I thought, yeah, this is 100 Thieves that isn't going to do the thing that they always do, which is first two games, they try something a bit too complex and then they just do simple from there on out. No, they ended up somehow managing to make that really complicated, to make that something that you have to play almost perfectly or it's not really going to work out to, or at least play to a degree that they can't necessarily expect to be able to pull off as an amateur team. And they got punished for that. I do like that they are trying to do these things, but when you're in the finals and you have the potential to take a grand slam, is that really when you want to be experimenting, or is that when you want to do the things that have been working for you time and time again? Did somewhat expect this to happen, which is why I had them as a 3-2 and not like a 3-0. But still, it is a little bit frustrating to see it. They haven't quite learned yet. This is the push come to shove moment. You stop learning at this point, you start doing what it takes to win, and you know how you can win. You had to learn this lesson over and over again. The fact they have to learn it a fourth time is a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, I would imagine that it just goes to show that 100 Thieves Next don't really know their history. I mean, we know that most of the players here are very young. They're 17 and 16 years old. But, for all of us boomers in the chat, if we all remember Cyanide from Fnatic, the one time he was on the analyst desk for the EU LCS, if I quote correctly, there is a point in the game where Caitlyn goes through a power trough where for about 10-15 minutes after that early game where the pick is pretty much as useful as nipples on a man. So, it's pretty much garbage at that point. And if 100 Thieves are investing in the fact that Caitlyn is the only damage source and you do not invest everything into that basket, like Veteran was pointing out, going for counter jungling and pulling your bot lane versus just giving them the pressure to take those plates, it's not going to work out. And, we have to question why are 100 Thieves trying to pull this in game one of a best of 5 where they want to go for the Am Slam, as Nigeria coined. Now, moving on into the second draft, hopefully 100 Thieves Next, for all the 100 fans in the chat, are hoping they push those aside and they go back to basics. And, for you, veteran, what are those basics going to be for 100 Thieves? What are we expecting now they're going to be on the red side of the draft?
I actually like it when they end up focusing utility on both top and bot sides of the map, because whereas previously you've had the problem where it's being stuff like Gangplank going top side early and Fallen Bandit kind of overestimating himself, though he did get the solo kill on Road of this game in fairness. Normally when we see like the Ashes and the Brooms, etc. coming out from bot side as well, this allows their mid jungle to pick stuff like the Ziggs, like the Kha'Zix, like the Graves, like the Nidalee, and actually have a lot of success with it. So I'd like to see them put a bit more, like, you don't have to take them fully away from carries on bot, but maybe a bit more utility there and focus on your mid jungle as being primary carries later on in the game, and just try to get a really good team fight composition going. It doesn't have to be a Caitlyn hyper carry composition. You know, Yeon did get caught out at one point here. It's not just all on how they played out the early game. He had a bit of Sven syndrome on the mid lane. I want to see them take a composition with multiple forms of engage that doesn't just rely on them tethering and spacing obscenely well around one specific champion. And, you know, with those multiple forms of engage, you have a lot to play around, right? It's not all over if one thing goes wrong. I want to see them do that. Just back to basics a bit.
Yeah.
Just watch the VODs of your last 3 games of any series that you've been in the finals of, and you know what to basically do.
Yeah, and I like the fact that, you know, Rafa, you mentioned the swap of sides. I actually really like a red side here for 100 Thieves next, not because, you know, they're the ones that really drive home the priority, but because it actually denies it from ANEW, right? We saw 5Fire really cash in on that R5 Silas. I don't think there are a lot of mid laners that have that pick ready. 5Fire once again showing that he's one of the better players that we have in SGC, and kind of denies that away from him, and, you know, maybe gives them a chance to get Auto a much better matchup in that bot lane and support. I've even seen them save jungle till R5, which I don't think is going to happen this series, but maybe, you know, play towards a little bit more of 100 Thieves' win condition and take away the opportunity for 5Fire to demonstrate the fact that he can play nearly every single mage in the game at a very high level as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping that we at least get some pressure in that mid lane, especially against 5Fire, because you definitely expect that Copy is gonna have a lower amount of priority in that lane, but putting him on Karma against the counter pick of 5Fire seems like a decision that's doomed to fail, and that's exactly what we saw in this game. We saw 5Fire 4-0-4 in that mid game on the Silas, just terrorizing everyone that he could get his hands on, or more accurately, his chains on. If he gets a similar counter pick in this next game or in the rest of the series, you definitely are going to have to bet that he's going to be able to do that again. So I am definitely hoping, alongside Veteran here, that they do have a champion in that mid lane that can be a little bit more of an engage, or just be something that can pressure this mid lane a little bit more, so that 5Fire doesn't just run away with it again.
Absolutely. You know, in that game one, narratively speaking, it is so fitting that 5Fire does get to lock in the silence, a man who was literally on the verge of being released from his chains. You know, 5Fire being put on utility picks is usually when, if you're a new fan, you do not like seeing, right? You want to see him with a lot more resources, a lot more economy to be at his disposal. And so, you know, Silas was such a great pick in that regards. But now casters are getting ready for draft 2 to start. I want to ask TJ, though, since so far his prediction is looking correct in the matters of a 3-0, but I need to check in to make sure if he's still completely on that train, or if his sanity is starting to lessen up a bit, and if he will at least agree to a full 5-game series. Now, TJ, are you there, my friend?
I've been smearing Galaxy Cream on my forehead, Rafa, and let me tell you, I have never been more sure this is going to go all 5 games. I take back my earlier prediction. That was a dominant victory for ANEW, don't get me wrong, and that's what gives me faith for going all the way. Because if we know anything about 100 Thieves, it's that they make big mid-series adjustments. I'm going to make a smooth segue. If you were on 100 Thieves, you were looking for a mid-series adjustment, what would it be?
I wouldn't ban Rumble because I like him and he's a big counter into GP. But that being said, I think we just need to ban GP because Fallen Bandit's entire champ pool at the moment just gets rolled by Gangplank. Any kind of lane Fallen Bandit will give you is a free scaling lane for your top laner. And we need to see Rodov continue to punish that in favor of ANEW.
On the other hand, I
Nap,
think that one of the issues that 100 Thieves had, it was the one that you pointed out very early on in Champ Select, Ibris, which was they only had one damage threat last game, and you cannot ever bank on just one threat. It's no longer Season 3. You are not CLG trying to compete in the LCK. You can't just play Protect the Double Lift. That doesn't work anymore as efficiently, and especially that game, it really didn't work.
Yeah, that is a
And, like-
little bit of a vintage comp and a vintage reference, of course. Protects the hyper carry scaling later on. Caitlyn, though, no Cogmore, so not too much in the tank in that regard. But already seeing the set secured again, such a comfortable pick for Mike Young. And maybe we see a couple of takeaways as some of the good jungle answers to that.
I like when you make the long references, Matt, because I have no clue if they're right or not. You just say, back in 1463 when CLG were playing in the LCK, and you could be saying anything. I just
Did you not question that, TJ, by the way? Did you? Because, yeah, LCK back in the day used to invite Western teams from around the world, and that's how TSM
Really?
became a dynasty, because CLG, while being the most popular team, went to Korea for a period to play in the Champions.
But
And that means that they couldn't stream over in Korea, and it lost them a lot of their fan base that jumped ship to TSM.
that said, though, Ibris, that is
Okay.
how we got the greatest call of all time.
Yes.
All right, I'm a blast past you because don't get me wrong, I do love the history lessons, but we're making some history here. ANEW do start things off in this draft. It is Kalista pulled down towards the bot lane. I'm fascinated by this. We do have that GP. You were saying they needed to get Ibris again in Rodolph's hands. They do have that set again to be flexible. If it goes to Mike Young, I'll be pleased. I do want to highlight, though, if it goes to Mike Young, it may have trouble in the jungle. And that is a worrying sign. 100 Thieves historically do very well when we get that particular jungler onto the field.
Yeah, Kalista set, of course, pretty sexy duo lane, and I'm not just saying that because one of them is wearing a open vest with no undershirt, but yeah, just really threatening when you flex that set towards the support role. I am curious as to see if we just see it go to jungle and we see the Thresh taken. Thresh being banned out, of course, kind of rough, but hey, we live and learn at this point. Senna Maokai is going to be the answer, though, and that is a lovely bot lane to run into it because there's not a whole lot of harass coming down towards you. You get to neutralize the Kalista's early kill pressure in lane, and suddenly ANEW find themselves in a situation where they're the ones having to be proactive early in that bottom half of the map if their comp is already going to shine towards the degree that we think it will.
Matt, tell me how you feel about Kindred.
TJ, can I instead tell you how I feel about them picking Vladimir? Because that's just sick.
Is dicey, but I will allow it.
Okay, cool. Vladimir is fantastic, and this eliminates the issue they had last game of the single carry composition. Vladimir has 2 power spikes. He has level 9 when he gets the max transfusion, and he has the literal rest of the game from that point. That's his other power spike. He is one of the strongest late game carries in the game titled League of Legends at this point, and he is incredibly good in those late stages. He's able to split push, he's able to team fight incredibly well, and he's able to put out a ton of damage. So I'm happier with this draft from 100 Thieves from the damage aspect at the very least.
Yeah, and I do want to point out, Fallen Bandit, during his long-term tenure as top laner of CLG Academy, was just falling back on the gangplank when it was viable. Very good matchup in GP. GP kind of a double-edged sword where while he loves free scaling, he is also kind of free scaling for the enemy top laner. And this is where I think Rodov and Fallen Bandit, we won't see too much action 1v1, but come team fighting phase, come these crazier skirmishes around neutral objectives, expect the game to explode.
Let's build our story around the ANEW draft, though. We talked about the Silas being a relief from our previous games. We do now have a Galio and 5 Fires happens again. Is that enough of a carry, Matt?
No. But I
believe-
can see the argument for it. I can see how it works, right? Because Galio is incredibly good in those engages in the mid lane. You have someone go into the front line. If you have your Kalista toss in your Morgana with the Fate's Call, you have the Galio ultimate onto the Morgana. Morgana pops her ultimate, goes golden. That is a massive team fight combo that will 100% of the time when it lands straight up win you the team fight because you have powder kegs and cannon barrage to come off on the top of that. That is fantastic when that happens, Ibris?
Yeah, definitely do have to look at that kind of set entryway for the Galio, kind of a budget Camille. Like back in the day, you'd see Galio Camille take games by storm. Yeah, you need the set to get in there. You need the Galio to follow up on it, maybe even the Morg, as you mentioned. But honestly, looking for Mike Young and 5fire to play as a cohesive unit, play as that duo, threaten, do their thing, and honestly take control of the game through that early aggression. What I want to see, though, besides the proactivity from Mike Young, besides the proactivity from 5fire on the Galio, I want to see just heavy emphasis on the Kalista doing well early and then transitioning into a mid game where you have these solo laners really start to back things up, because everyone on this ANEW comp really short range, so they have to be really careful about the fights that they do take.
I want to double down on that because that was something I was noticing. This is a very short-ranged comp. The best ranged engage they have reliably is probably the GP ult, and unreliably Morgana with the Dark Binder. I bring that up because Winter had a rough series last night. He did just have a game of redemption on the Blitzcrank. How do you feel about a squishier champion like Morgana? You do have the Fate's Call to kind of keep him alive. Is that going to be enough?
So I think the Morgana is, again, just fishing for aggressive vision, much like your kind of hook champs, because she's, of course, very pick reliant. You drop the Q, have a party, all of that stuff. You really want the enemy to face check into you. But at the same time, there's a lot less risk innately on the champion. However, if Winter continues to take the questionable decisions of, following up on that magical journey, just randomly walking into 3 people, that kind of thing, still going to find it a little fruitless for the support of ANEW.
There is a secret buff to Winter, though. There are no more magical journeys to trick them. Instead, Alto, who has, I should note, been incredible all tournament long, has pulled out a Maokai. Matt, we run this bot lane occasionally. I assume it will be slightly better than that. How do you feel?
Yeah. If it's not slightly better, then I feel like ANEW are going to very handily win this game by the 10-minute mark. But given that we are not professional players and 100 Thieves Next are, I really like this bottom lane. You usually have the Maokai get to farm up, get very, very tanky. Into the later stage of the game, he's just an unstoppable monster. And this is, like Ibris pointed out, I call it the fasting Senna when it's not going to get absolutely rolled over, and starvation Senna at all of the times. There is the danger of that Kalista getting strong in the early game, and that transitions me into what I want to talk about for the power curves as we go later on into the stages of the game. I think despite having a GP, ANEW really, really hate the late game this game. They have a very, very short range composition. There are not a lot of ways to keep themselves scaling out into the later stages, and 100 Thieves will just run over them if they get to late.
Yeah, once the Kindred gets 4 marks, she'll stop coming into real feasible range for the carries to respond from the side of ANEW. You just look at Senna scaling up when she gets 60 souls, starts auto-attacking you from a screen or 2 away. Corki, Rapid Fire Cannon, usually comes through 3rd after Triforce and Muramana, or 4th after those and Infedge. So yeah, just really have to play with their ranges here. And even if you do manage to get on top of these squishy backline carries, insurance of a Kindred ultimate, insurance of a Vladimir in your backline, clump up for that and see what happens.
So I'd like to say that while we do look into this competition, and we're a little bit worried about Winter on the Morgana pick after the last game. Well, I've done some quick scouting, and Winter has the highest mastery points out of anyone on their current champions at 300k. So he's comfortable as hell on this Morgana. I believe in the boy. I believe in the ANEW bot lane. I like
the idea. I like the vision. We are into game in just a few moments. I'm going to do what I always do to you, Matt and Ibris. You've seen the draft for game 2. Are we going all the way with ANEW?
No.
You could say it simultaneously. Ibris is not on the ANEW train. Matt, a little bit more cautious, thinking about it, waiting for the analyst to get first word in.
Ibris beat me to it again. I really do want to believe in ANEW, and I believe in Winter on this Morgana pick. But my God, the 100 Thieves draft is just so beautiful. Once they get to like level 9 and beyond, 3 items, like you were saying, Ibras, on that Corki, they will absolutely run through this game. So the onus is on ANEW in the early game, and that's where we saw them made a lot of mistakes in game number 1.
I will be the lone dissenting voice with comfort then, because I believe in Fire's Gallion. I know nobody else does here, but I am a believer. And I think that we're going to see a composition built around enabling Fire, and if they are able to get him off to a solid start, if they don't lose lane, this is still a game ANEW can come out on top of. We are into game number 2. Ibras, I'll go to you.
Yeah, definitely the possibility of them coming out ahead of this, especially if they crack open the early game to the same degree we wanted to see. But at the same time, it's GP, he's AFK to level 6, he's AFK top lane. You need to see a lot of action around that bot lane and that mid-jungle duo in particular. Punish Kindred before she has 4 marks, punish Corki while he's stacking his tier, punish Senna while she's stacking her tier or building whatever the hell fasting Senna builds nowadays. And really just the ball is in ANEW's court to come out the gate swinging this time around.
Yeah, it sounds like that level 6 is really going to be that turning point here for the side of ANEW. If they can get any plays down during the level 6, they are going to have a strong time going into the mid game, and they should be able to end before that like 25-30 minute mark. If it gets to that point, they are so unbelievably boned without massive misplays.
This is going to be a bit of a slow start, I think, across the board, though. No matter how much you want to believe in the early game of ANEW, it doesn't really start here until Mike Young starts finding action.
Honestly, last time we saw Mike Young get invaded on pretty early by NXI. This time around, shouldn't really expect the Kindred to be too proactive when it comes to those invades until the mark starts spawning. Then you can see some big pushes from Copy. Then you can start to see players from 100 rotate to support their jungler through these aggressive mark contests. But until then, a little bit of a quiet early, fish for a Morgana binding here and there, a cool Galio Q. Poke, non-committal damage, it's all good. Rodov is like, nah, no non-committal here, I want my Grasp Q proc. Really badly. Ah.
Oh my god. It was all the way into that bush, Ibras, and that was something we talked about during the last game. I want to kind of change our conversation back to that top lane you love so much, Matt, because Fallen Bandit is off of Orange GP duty. He's now playing a much higher execution champion on the Vlad.
I think the Vlad is going to be in a fine spot this game. There's going to be very few scenarios where a Gangplank can straight up just run down on Vladimir without massive misplays. I mean, Gangplank doesn't have any CC outside of the barrel slows, and even those are a little bit difficult to set up. Maybe you could see a level 6 all-in, but if Fallen Bandit loses that and doesn't just hide under tower with Hemoplague, I would be genuinely shocked. So I'm not really worried about his laning this game so much as I am what can Rodov get done in the time before Fallen Bandit scales up.
Yeah, Phase Rush, of course, on the Vlad lends him a lot of credibility when it comes to these defensive kind of disengages. Just drop the Sanguine Pool after a casual EQ, and it smooths things from there on out. Why would you engage on that when he's already got the Black Shield on him prior to you pressing W?
Auto knows no reason, only fighting. And sure, you will just guide him back. There's the twisted advance, though. Auto actually all the way in there, but Yorn's now in trouble. Has to kite into the bush. It doesn't save him. Shoryu with 1, surely not Shoryu with 2. And indeed, Auto barely finds the pick. Winter, the dark binding of a lifetime should be coming up. And it is! Winter with a sliver of HP closes out a 2-for-1 trade over to ANEW down bottom.
Yeah, not only was that clumsy because you opened on a Kalista with Black Shield, but also consider Kalista with heal, Morgana with ignite. That beats out the TP utility that Auto is rocking any day of the week. And honestly, just a load of disrespect. I understand the rationale behind it, but you're not taking advantage of Senna's range. You're taking a fight against a champ that loves to fight early. Also, consider the fact that this Kalista, for some reason, got off a free recall at some point and had a longsword to start off this engagement compared to her counterpart.
Oh,
really, the more you look
I get
at
excited
the more
whenever I
you
see
want to look away.
Winter hit sick hooks. And now we've got sick dark bindings for kills. I don't know, it's just a step up. I like to see the redemption in the bot lane, man.
Well, it reminds me of, I had a flashback recently as we were seeing that engage. Wasn't Winter the one who ran away and 1v1'd the Lee Sin in the alcoves earlier on in the season? He was just dipping and diving into the bushes behind the alcove, going for bindings left and right. The man's nasty. And we get to see that at the level 1 engage. And now, oh my god, they have such a great lead going on to the early game.
And this is what we said needed to happen. You needed that early game momentum, not only for the Callista, but also so that the comp could truly come online. The mid game, if you approach that with momentum, if you approach that with some Drakes under your belt to crest towards a Dragon Soul, win condition around 25 minutes, that is what ANEW need to really hammer home this victory before 100 Thieves can even claw back to a convincing late game.
Picking up on the Drake as well. This is just such a fantastic... Oh god, there's an engage.
Yeah, 5fire start things off, a little bit of poke here. I want to go to you because you were talking about that Drake. Mountain does get picked up there, man.
Yeah, I think this is a really good early game coming out from ANEW. Yet to be seen if it's enough, of course. It's only 6 minutes in. 5fire, very aggressive vision here. Ooh. He's going to find NXI.
Or 5fire just gets NXI walking into him. It's unclear how much finding he really did. NXI wrapped himself up, found that he couldn't move thanks to how tight the wrapping paper was. Goes down for a free kill inside the jungle.
Remember last game when I said 6 minutes 30 was the kill switch for the Onward spellbook? Apparently, same story for the Galio spellbook. Trade out TP for Ignite, fish for an all-in, not even on your lane opponent, just casually chill in the enemy jungle, waiting for the Kindred to face check you. And Galio's seen more as a utility kind of mid laner. This time around though, full assassin for 5fire, who of course does flourish on those kinds of picks.
Unironically, the Hextech Revolver, I think, secured him the kill there, the extra burst damage on the auto, so well done for him to pick up the first blood there against the Corki.
This was something that we were talking about, though. We said that 5fire needed to find early kills, and there it is, Ibras. There is the early presence from 5fire. And that was my win condition the whole time as he's back in there. Oh, copy interrupted. Does not get away. Oh, 5fire's gone to the turret, but Mike Young will still secure the trade. And it's 1-for-1 in mid.
Tremendously clean Galio engage there. His mana was suspect, but he gets the Justice Punch to interrupt the Valk. And it was just stunning, but Rodon
in trouble. Jones have fallen banded on top of them, and it will be NXI, actually, who claims the kill.
Pretty gross execute damage there from the Wolf already. Kindred, cool. Nice champ, I guess. Yeah, definitely have to consider NXI as being relatively close to coming online. Of course, not at that 20-minute 4 mark kind of power spike we love to see, but yeah, just the buffering of that Justice Punch. I want to call it dumb luck, but yeah, let's just say intentional, insane play coming through from the mid laner of ANEW.
And then this top play was just sort of, there's only so much you can do as a GP here. He just tries to clear the wave. There's no way you're getting the kill. You have no tools to get out. The Rift Herald in danger.
Ooh, did just get smited by Mike Young. He rips that away. It was very contested. Remarkably, Matt, not a fight.
No, and that was really bizarre to me because NXI was the one who started this. Off the back of that top lane dive, NXI said, okay, just got to kill on the top laner. We have Shove in top lane as well. I can solo out this Rift Herald. I'm wondering what got them to the position where suddenly Mike Young's able to walk in there and smite steal it with no problem. I know they had a lot of rotations from ANEW, but that was a real change of pace.
I mean, on the topic of rotations, though, also consider that Senna, Maokai really hate leaving bot lane. Senna's notoriously kind of slow, especially with no boots in inventory. Maokai as well. Yes, he's annoying when he W's on you, but otherwise kind of lumbers.
TP in, that's going to be big trouble for Bodor as the ult comes through. Fallen Bandit is in trouble as well, and he's going to get caught out back. A very nice Winds of War off the back of the heroic entrance.
Beautiful, beautiful from 5fire. We were talking about, oh, we don't want to see him on the Galio. We don't want to see him off those carries. Turns out when 5fire's on anything, it becomes a carry. So beautiful assistance there from the mid laner of ANEW.
We still do have a bit of a skirmish up here in the top lane. We have seen the full lane swap that does happen around this mark in busy games. No firm lead either way, but 100 Thieves seem to be actually building up this bot lane, despite the fact that they've had to go down early.
Yeah,
Well,
Corky
the
Vladimir
usual
really
reason-
proficient at playing side lanes, so yeah, pretty happy to see that one, of course. Split push all the way down, but gonna get punished for it.
Oh, we will finally engage the knockback under the tower, away from Copy. He's in danger. NXI not able to find the Lamb's respite in time, but this means the dive can come out from ANEW. The flash away from NXI. Mike Young tanking the tower cleanly. Rodov may die to that tower shot, though, but removes
Ooh.
Scurvy. Keeps him alive.
Matt, he's got such good nutrition. That man is alive, and as a result,
Look at that
that's
vitamin
gonna be
C.
a couple more. Yeah, couple more Derp plates in his pocket. Here comes the Rift Arrow to secure it. All of that, of course, baiting for this Drake that's about to get scooped up. Empress. Cloud Drake in the pocket of Mike Young.
Yeah, honestly, looking at ANEW to further transition their lead into more momentum for themselves. This GP's online, this Galio's already got his Proto Belt, and looking at this comp, we kind of said, look, they need to do well early, they need to enter the mid-game in a stride. Doing so at the moment, and we're looking at the single item spikes coming through from the likes of a GP, Galio already there, Kalista when she gets her blade. Really, really good and promising from ANEW as long as they continue this aggressive kind of push.
I want to wind back the clock exactly 3 minutes right now. About this 3 minutes ago in history, the bottom lane of 100 Thieves rotated up towards the top side of the map. Now, usually that happens about the 8 minute 30 mark so that you can have an easier time securing the Herald. There was no Herald up, and they weren't able to keep any pressure on the Dragon, so I'm not sure why that rotate came up. Maybe they knew something I didn't, like this bush gank.
Oh, yeah, maybe they were setting up for this. Be very early though. Winter's all the way in. Oh, and the ulti as well. Yawn's completely split up. He's annihilated. Here comes Fire. Here comes the rest of the team underneath the turret.
Mike
NXI
Young.
is chunked down to a sliver of HP. Winter's got the kill. I do not believe it. Auto's all alone underneath this turret. He too will be picked up by Fire, who is absolutely dominating this game for ANEW.
Yeah, Mike Young finally finds his way into that fight, but he was wholly unnecessary. The team already cleaned up, largely because this Galio is massive. You said it yourself. Fire is the driving force behind ANEW's victories time and time again, and so far looks to be continuing that trend as he makes his way across the map.
Another
Oh
fight
my
comes
God.
in, the taunt lands onto Copy, and he's dead just like that. Fire finds his third kill, and is propelling his team, it looks like, on the way to a quick victory. Already 5k and 2 Drakes up.
All right, we entered this game, we were like, no way ANEW win this. Their draft is too conditional, them doing well early.
Hey.
And yet, look at what they're doing.
Hiya,
Look
Briss.
at how they're handling this, and look at how they're running with it. 5k up, 30 minutes 30.
Ivris, this is revisionist history. I was here from moment one saying that we're going to see Fire dominate. And here he is, and now you're saying, oh, nobody saw it coming. I cannot believe that Fire is showing up in this game as he does in this fight. Oh, Winter, that's nasty.
From here, it's just the taunt in under tower. There's no way they're able to find anything. You're 1 versus 4. Or 2 versus 4 if you count Copy, but he was zoned out so far, he might as well be in a different zip code at this point.
Oh man, this Corki in mid lane stacking up Mana Moon. You have double CDR items for the Vlad. They're not bad thresholds to be in, but they are thresholds you would have liked to have hit about 6 minutes ago. Yes, what is the perplexing thing coming out here?
So, you say that, Ibris, and don't worry, I'm in agreement about that. But that is a massive, massive CS lead there for Fallen Bandit. He has just been farming up a storm silently this game. Almost 40 CS up on Rodov. And yeah, Rodov's been getting into fights, but this makes that late game proposition even scarier. So ANEW have to keep accelerating this game. I think this Rift Herald is going to be a good start to that.
Man,
will
this
be
Morgana
fresh.
skin is so nice, but the W looks so much like the Valentine's Varus E. Flowers on the
The
ground. in a
Tormented Shadow
circle.
loves you.
Thank you. Yes, it used to be Tormented Soil, and that would make more sense with the roses, don't you think?
This has been Skin Thoughts with Empress. For more, you can sign up for his Art Critique podcast. It does go out on all platforms and challengersuprising.com. Fine Fires critiquing the placement of this turret in the top lane. Does not suit the Feng Shui, and as such, it will be removed. That's going to be ANEW Esports building a dominant lead here in Game 2, man.
I didn't know you were a house decorator, TJ. Mentioning feng shui offhand is really... I knew you were erudite, but not that much.
The better cut would have been Marie Kondoing the top lane. The turret did not bring
course.
happiness.
The top lane tower does not bring fire
Read
joy.
the room. Don't push it out of balance.
ANEW are pushing it out of balance, though, Matt. This is a really strong lead here in Game 2. Is there any way 100 Thieves pull this back? If not, what are we looking at for Game 3?
I think they can. I think they just have to stop the bleeding. At a certain point, a lot of times in NA Amateur as well, anywhere below the major regions, and hell, even in the major leagues, we see these early game teams get an early lead, and then suddenly they have no idea what to do with their macro. Famously for me, this was LNG. Would get this massive lead off SOFM, 15 minutes in, they'd have no idea what to do from that point. But ANEW as a team have incredible macro generally. So unless 100 Thieves can punish them, like with this TP, it's going to be in their pocket.
Fire. Did find the taunt on NXI, though, and that means they might get out of this. Winter with the Black Shield. They are absolutely fine, Ibris. He just left. They TP'd in 3 players, and he said, no thank you. And now they're going to punish it mid lane. There's the cannon barrage, and Yon's caught out, suplexed into the rest of the team. Haymaker to no HP. 5 Fire turns his own fight. Fallen Bandit will go down as soon as he rises from the Sanguine pool. And just like that, ANEW have 2 more kills.
And where was this ANEW last night? Look at this aggression. Look at this gameplay. Saving the strats for the long game, apparently, as ANEW. Completely different form compared to what we'd seen from them. Completely different form to what everyone bar TJ was expecting from them. And they are running away with this game handily right now, pushing it to Ocean Soul Point by the 21-minute mark, pushing it to a tremendous gold lead pre-20 minutes, and honestly looking untouchable now that these mid-game team fights are really starting to roll around.
This is revisionist history again, Ibris. Come on, I came into this with a 3-0 prediction for ANEW. I knew they had it,
Foxy.
but the thing I'm so surprised to see... Huh?
And the dog.
That's true. Foxy did also predict this. She predicted that 100 Thieves would take at least 1 game, though. So we're at least going to 4 games. But I think the big thing that I've been surprised with this game is just how much 100 Thieves have been willing to cede over the early game. They've given up now 3 dragons in a row. They've lost both Rift Heralds. If they don't stop bleeding out literally now and lose no more towers, no more dragons, no more major objectives, they will lose the game in the next 10 minutes.
I do want to call out, just because people, may be tuning in to Cup for the first time, we have a $15,000 prize pool this season, and it is not evenly distributed. That is $7,500 to first place, $3,750 to second place. That's a big cut. So ANEW are playing for the bank accounts here. And, well, maybe that's the sudden increase in play. Realize they got to go get some Taco Bell later tonight. Oh, a chase.
Yeah,
I'd
a
go to
little
at
bit
least
of a commitment
Chipotle.
there, but nothing too worrisome coming through from the mid lane of ANEW. Honestly, looking at 100 Thieves next, I really don't know what to say about this, except that they got outclassed across the board individually, whether it was just in lane or when it came to rotations. And the thing about 100 Thieves is that they've never really been a team afraid to have weird priorities when it came to these neutral objectives. You see them hard commit for Drakes, hard commit for Heralds, and yet this time around, it feels like as a consequence of their lanes being a little bit more scaling emphasized, they just sit back and let ANEW run rampant with the game.
And they're getting full zoned out like ANEW have Baron right now. before the Baron's picked up. They're just all hiding behind their turret. 5-fire, you disgusting man. He lands the taunt and just secures an insta-kill onto Full of Bandit. And oh no, Winter might be about to find another one as NXI walks into yet another trap inside the jungle. Your Lamb's Respite will not save you if you are carried from it straight into the grave.
And TJ, Baron's back up. You were saying, all right, 5-fire. It's like they have Baron. Well, they're about to. Oh my God, this is such a dominating victory from ANEW. And like you said, 5-fire taking the initiative for that turret dive. So much clean play coming in from them. Has to be the desperation from 100 Thieves from now.
Yeah, hard push in, but the TP's coming out. Could see a contest, but it's Senna Maokai with no items. What are they gonna do? Not a whole lot of anything. Recall, yeah, this is gone. 100 Thieves seeding this. You're gonna reset just in time for the 21-minute Dragon Soul from ANEW as well, so this is probably game, unless a miracle happens.
I'm pretty sure this is almost perfect macro. If we are ever going to make a North American amateur textbook, this is the chapter on macro. We just need a photo of 5-fire, the one where he's staring into the camera, because he knows he's gonna win that game.
Like we've seen a ghost, that one.
Yeah, that one. It's exactly that one.
Well,
Granted, well, maybe
not every game will be against a team that just rolls over and lets you take full control of the first 20 minutes uncontested.
Yeah, I think the ghost he's haunted by in that photo is the ghost of 100 Thieves' future, because he's just been the reason this macro is so easy. He's been bullying them the whole time. Case in point, goodbye, Yawn, again. Why are you here? Why are you running? There is no point. He's picked up for
It's
free.
fasting Senna, she's greeting for vision, but why is Maokai here?
Why is Auto here? I do not understand. They're so far forward, Ibriz. And Auto will meet a very similar fate. If you've been down this street before, it is not a lie. Oh, the TP might get him out.
He's out.
It does.
Yeah. Worth.
Don't worry, guys. They got Ocean Soul, but I got out.
Oh no! The wolf reset on the Kindred as well, by the way. Like, what could possibly go wrong that hasn't already?
Matt, you need to take this one.
Nope. He goes golden. He's just absolutely fine, TJ.
Okay, that's good. Mike Young in the front lines. Though Lamb's Respite was popped, that is the only thing that saves NXI, as the cannon barrage was perfectly timed alongside that haymaker. Full and Bandit and Co will fall back, and 100 Thieves next are losing their Nexus turrets for a second time in 2 games. This one more dominant than ever. I would not have predicted this outcome. I was in the ANEW camp, I was on the train, but I did not think it would be quite as clean as this map.
No, it went onto the train, but we didn't know it was going to 2-0 station with a timestamp of 23 minutes and 22 seconds already on the clock. They're going to back out. They feel so comfortable. Normally against this composition, you are terrified to let any more time pass. You are just counting the minutes until you automatically lose the game. But ANEW have established such a massive lead that it would take a genuinely Herculean feat to lose it from here.
Yeah, genuinely need to look at just how ANEW played that one out. Quick rotation off of a single pick to the Baron. Well, more than a single pick. They transitioned 1 pick into 2 picks, into a Baron, into a Drake, which was Soul, into 2 inhibs. I like they're playing 2 lanes instead of all 3, and really choking out resources because there's no top lane to farm for the side of 100 Thieves now. And it means they can now just stack up their resources, push through this last remaining inhib lane, and set a clear path towards victory here.
I like Jan going for the cheeky auto there. Just like, aha, a small victory. I have stopped the back of 5-fire. As the rest of his team takes down the tier 2 turret. It's really the small victories you got to go for at this point.
You know, that's exactly what you've got to do, Matt, because between the TP out and stuffing 5-fire, that's kind of all 100 Thieves can walk away from this game on. It's felt like they've never really contested the strong points of ANEW. 5-fire has yet another game here where he's dominant. Mike Young runs over the jungle matchup again. 100 Thieves not bringing it to where their enemy is most powerful.
Yeah, and when this 100 Thieves comp just has a ton of disengage innately packed into it, you can just brute force with your gold lead. Brute force a big fight. Wait for Galio to escort the bot and mid. Sorry, yes, both of those lanes in, and then just hard commit for top lane into a game-ending power play.
Maybe we go here. Copy. Will be here to contest. A last-ditch effort for 100 Thieves is possible. It would have to be an absolutely miraculous team fight, though. And I don't see one brewing. As they are sieged at long range, the Ocean Drake Shocker keeps them full HP. There go the inhibitors. Into the Sanguine Pool goes forward. Bandit, but he's rooted and he's scooped up by 5 Fire. Sure, you find the kill in the feed. And this will be game number 2. Very dominant over to ANEW. Not the path any of our analysts saw this series going. Save from Foxy the dog. This could be the end of the series as 100 Thieves are slaughtered again around their nexus. This could be the end of their Grand Slam NA amateur dominance right here in Game 3 coming up.
It's a 2-0 so far for ANEW and a 2-0 no for 100 Thieves next. Seeding over that second game entirely from minute 1. A 24.5-minute victory coming out from ANEW, and now 100 Thieves' only hope is to find a reverse sweep from down 0-2.
Okay, but look, we had 2 semifinals. Both of them went all the way to Game 5. Statistically, there is a 100% chance of cup playoff games going all the way to Game 5. And that would mean 100 Thieves have to start picking up some wins. Rather than break down that, I'm going to go to you, Ibridge, with the positive note. What do 100 Thieves fix into game number 3 that brings them back into the series?
Sink or swim in the Sanguine Pool, and 100 Thieves kind of drowned in that one. So basically, if you're going to bank on the Vladimir, don't draft scaling in every single other lane. Don't assume that you're just going to have an enemy team that lets you freely scale up to a mid to late comfort zone. Don't sit back and do nothing early. Granted, the comp wasn't exactly one that could be proactive anyway. And honestly, start playing towards your strengths. Be bloodthirsty, be aggressive, play through the fact your bot lane in an isolated 2v2, when played correctly, can trash the enemy, because you saw it happen yesterday. But actually, taking a leaf from a newsbook here, their bot lane, remarkable 2v2 kill early, largely because 100x just completely disrespected them.
Well, and even in game number 1, we saw the bot lane of 100 Thieves absolutely roll over the bot lane of ANEW. Those Caitlyn kills early on were dirty. It was a disgusting, dominant show that didn't turn into anything because the Caitlyn was the only damage threat there. This game, they had more damage threats, but none of them could do anything before the 20-minute mark. So I think somewhere in between lies that perfect mark where 100 Thieves may be able to take this all the way to a game 5, but they've got to start fighting, and they've got to start fighting fast.
Well, we do have a long series ahead of us potentially if 100 Thieves turn things around. I am going to join your boat, and I think all of that turning around needs to happen from the bot lane, because that is where the success was found in that Upsurge series. But even as we're finding success down there, I think there needs to be less failure at the ANEW strong points. Because the big question mark to me during that Upsurge series was that ANEW were putting Mike Young in Trundle jail, locking Karma for 5 Fire, playing very passive in both their star players. Here, they've shifted how that works. We're seeing much more aggression and much more power behind those stars. And that, to me, is what ANEW are doing right that needs to be countered. And we've never seen ANEW or 100 Thieves be able to handle aggressive Mike Young, except for game 1 of that Upsurge series last night.
Conversely, I think that 100 Thieves next are falling into that kind of trap that you mentioned ANEW defaulted to in their previous series, where you're having a lot of inactivity in that mid-jungle duo. You're having a heavy emphasis on these champions that do sit back, not have a lot of options for early aggression that we've come to attribute to these two players in particular, in NXI and Copy. And I think taking the agency out of this mid-jungle duo's hands is just kind of rough. I think top lane at this point you write off as being just invisible at all stages. Fine, sure, whatever. He'll come online in team fights, be that big, clear engage voice. but at least let the mid jungle duo play the game, because it's worked out for 100x in the semifinals, and it should theoretically work out here. Stop playing to neutralize Mike Young and Fivefire, because I understand why they're doing it, but at the same time, it feels like they're neutralizing themselves while also doing that.
They're playing to their opponent's strengths, and that is one line of the puzzle they have to solve in order to turn things round. I called 3-0 ANEW at the head of today, and everyone called me mad. How do you like your profit now? Game 3 is coming up. ANEW have a chance to clean sweep the grand finals with $15,000 on the line. Do not tune out now.